Definitely energy. These last couple of days, especially in a practice standpoint, coach pushed us, and he makes that basically, sorry, put the emphasis on defense. I feel like the defense have kind of been struggling these last couple of games, and we've just been getting back to the drawing board, getting back to the basics, getting back to moving our feet defensively in practice. And today, it showed.
Really just keep faith, keep trust and faith in God that I know that I work on my game. So it happens. A lot of good players have bad games, and I understand that. So I just try to carry myself like a pro and try to just continuously stay in the gym because I know and trust my work.
Definitely, I agree, but it's definitely a team effort. Especially for me, being out for the last couple of weeks individually, it was mentally draining. But I can't thank my teammates and my coaching staff enough for getting me back out there, getting me back on the rhythm of things. And it just shows that tonight was a team effort. We used everybody. We have depth, and that could be very, very dangerous for a lot of teams coming up. We have a lot of size. We had a lot of players. So coach always tells us, man, put 3 minutes out there as hard as you can, and we'll get you a blow.
Man, it's really important. It's a big a margin, a big gap, a space that's filled and needed when he's out there on the floor, and he brings so much tenacity on the rebounding glass, offensively and defensively. Then his offensive game, whether he could shoot at mid range, he could pop. So Joe brings so much to our team, and he helps us so much that we really appreciate everything that he does. And when he's not here with us, it really shows. So we are appreciative, and we really are happy to have Joe as teammates. If I'm not speaking for everyone else, I know I am.
Thanks, Day Day. Um, just my teammates, man. I think the chemistry here is just so amazing. All throughout summer, preseason, we've always stuck together, and I feel like it shows on the court when we huddle up after every dead ball, how we pick each other up after fall if we fall or something. Like it's just a brotherhood here, and I think that that brotherhood is going to stay strong for many years to come because even the young guys are kind of getting into it. And I feel like with the older guys that we have this year, man, we've done a wonderful job of being role models and just kind of showing them the ropes. And they've been good job just being sponges and soaking up all that knowledge. So I feel like the tradition here at Duquesne is changing, and it shows. Not really. I feel like in games, it's a game of runs. They threw a punch, but we rallied, and I feel like all throughout season, coaches just always put the emphasis on rallying when stuff goes bad, coming together, because that's all we got. So we came together and we rallied and we got back out there and got our run in.
Joe, did anything change offensively to help fuel that little run of buckets that you had late in the game there?
Um, just kind of going inside. With the size that we have, it's easy to just go inside and just work outside in or inside out. Because once we start getting it inside, then it opens up for Day Day and our guards to drive and get their shots in. So coach always just puts the emphasis on just pushing it in the paint. We have Trey Williams, Chavi now. We just got so much size down there that it's hard to guard.
I would really say just continuing to get in practice, get in the gym, focus on the small details, and hear out our game plans and what coaches like implanting and installing in us on the defensive end, which is our defensive principles: jump into the gap, jump into the ball, jump into the gap, and then to your man. Like just small things like that, just to keep harping on, so we get it down pack and it becomes a habit naturally, and that'll make our defense even better and continuously looking like how we did tonight or even better.
It is going backwards for DePaul when he combined 1 of 17 from the field today. You include the previous 2 games, even though they were losses. Defensively, it looks like there's been improvements from you guys. Have you guys been seeing not just on the court, but just sort of in practice, the defensive intensity sort of picking up for you guys and moving in the right direction?
Yeah, like Joe mentioned, coach is harping on that, trying to install it to us and in us that every day we gotta just go hard. We gotta go hard, max out, and just every time you're on the floor, you gotta max out. So rather you can go 5 minutes, 6 minute stretches, playing as hard as you can, or 2, 3 minutes, or 1 minute. Just do what you can and max out on the floor when you're out there, and you will be fine. You're gonna get your blow, like Joe said. But it really starts in practice as well, and we're just gonna keep grinding and trying to harp on that in practice, just instill our defensive principles.
And following up on that, our coaches have done a wonderful job of using film, and that's been a very, very valuable resource for us, so we can see our mistakes and learn from them. So we've definitely been locking in the film room these last couple of games.
Did they film from the practice?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Practice film, game film, all types of film. Just more so just to understand the importance of defense and how even talking, being more vocal. Like we see things, examples of such as Draymond Green and how vocal he is in the NBA. Like just seeing that kind of as a film just shows us what it means to be that. And we all know what the Warriors can do, so it just rubs off on us, I guess.
Did they, you both mention just going hard for 3 minutes at a time, and Coach Duquesne as well for you to, so you're leading the team in minutes. You played all but 3 minutes today. Are you finding that to be a little extra challenge because of the minutes load you have to take on?
To be honest, no. I try personally to prepare myself for moments like these, for situations like these. So in the summertime, and when I am working on my game, or if I am working on my conditioning and my endurance, I try to think about that and think like, what if you have to play an entire game? What if you have to play 45 minutes, 50 minutes because it's an overtime? So I try to just look at things like that and just think like you can't come out the game unless coach takes you out for a reason or because he wants you out. So I just try to just think like that and just try to endurance and keep my stamina up on my own, so I don't have to have that problem to think like, oh, this is a challenge. I'm tired or whatnot.
You mentioned when you tap out.
I don't tap out, but I told coach today I'll tell him if I'm too tired, I'll give him the jersey signal.
Thank you. Love coaching in.
Thank you.
Jumps out as a 48 rebounds and 32 rebounds. We spent the last 2 days after the last game. We worked. I never worked a team in 40 years of coaching harder after a game than I did after the last game. And I give our guys credit, because we didn't play very well the last game, but they've had a lot on their plate. In fairness to them, we don't know how we played way too many games over exam week than we should have, but we got squeezed on scheduling, so we had no choice. But that's too many to play. You shouldn't even play any, and we ended up playing too many. I wouldn't say that. I thought we were really good defensively the first half and just okay the second half. I thought we tried to share the ball better tonight than we did the last game, which we emphasized that too. We kind of reverted back to Kentucky, I thought, the last game. They kind of had the same night we had the last game, because they're a very fluid offensive team usually, and they had a hard time of it. But our big guys beat their brains in, really, like when you really analyze it. he's played a lot of games. He's still not completely where he was. I mean, what we've been really hitting him hard on is just making winning plays instead of just stuffing a stat sheet. Make some winning plays, like a wall up or being in the gap. That's where he's got to get better. But he did a good job tonight. Um, and he's a talented guy. He can, and then the biggest issue we have right now is who to play behind Trey Williams. So he's an option for us. Dave Dixon's an option. It's not ideal for us yet, because they have to guard out on the floor a little bit, which they've never done in their whole life. So that's the biggest issue we have right now with our team, in my mind, besides Tevin being out. But if McGriff plays to his capabilities, we can withstand a little bit with Tevin being out. If he played like he did the 2 games before, we're in trouble. But I give him credit, too, because he rallied himself back. And he's got a tender Achilles, too, so he's been battling some things.
Coach, how important was it to get Rozier back in the game for those last 8 minutes before the offense got going?
So the one thing about Rozier, you can look at the sheet, you cannot look at the sheet. But the one thing that guy is he makes winning plays, right? He doesn't like dazzle you with anything, but he's a winner, and that's important, especially when you've gone through what we went through last year. You hit that point like tonight, either you're going to win or you're going to cave in, and guys like him help you win. He's probably our best on-the-ball defender right now, although Clark was good tonight. But he hasn't been good. So that's a crazy statement that a freshman's your best on-the-ball defender. It's terrific. And I give our guys a lot of credit because we didn't get him in the last game, which I want to get him in. I have to get him acclimated for the long term. So we went to Reese, we went to Rotroff, we went to Dixon, and we told him, look, we're going to put him in first. Because if I don't put him in first, I'll never get to him. And, he's a little different than all of the rest. He's got that 7'4" wingspan. He runs like a gazelle. He catches the ball. If you throw it to him, he's going to dunk it. He's hard to shoot over. Now, he doesn't know much yet because he was out so long, but he's a really good talent. Well, I'll start with Brewer. So, Brewer's going to be straight pain tolerance. That's a right shoulder, so he's got to be able to shoot the ball, but he's made progress. And if he came back from what he came back from before, I wouldn't count the little guy out. He'll come back at some point. But we can't, I'm sure it's going to be tender, so we got to make sure they can shoot the ball and things like that. As far as Easley goes, he's doing all the things we're asking him to do, but he hasn't practiced but he practiced twice this week, Drew? So he's playing catch up. So we'll see on that. Say that again. I've been impressed with them all year, really. We haven't been a very good defensive team, but the first half tonight we were really good. So they kind of took what we told them. We said, you've been relying on offense the whole year, and we have a couple below average offensive nights, and we lose. So when are you going to listen and trust us and get better defensively and really make it matter to you? And also sharing the ball. So that tells you a lot about the group. But so does, going to those big kids and saying, hey, we're going to Chavi first. That tells you a lot about the group, too. And Rozier as well. We told Rozier, look, we're starting McGriff at point, because we need to make sure that we bring in some stability. Because, Q's more of a home run strikeout guy. and the other guy's a single hitter. And so he did it for us as well. Like, I'm sure he wanted to start, but he's going to do whatever it takes to help the team win. I mean, I wasn't even a singles hitter. I just let the ball hit me. I mean, what do you mean singles hitter? I was just happy when it got to the outfield. There, you got to remind me of that. It's 400 years ago anyway. I'm starting to act like Charles Thomas talking about my career now, right? Back when I was with the Pistons. No, I'm just kidding. You know, I'm upset we didn't win the other two games, quite honestly. Um, but by the same token, with all the adversity that we've hit, like, this was a huge game for us. Like, if you think about it, if we lose the third game, and then you got Indiana State coming in here, they're good, and then you have Winthrop coming in here, like, these are hard games. So I'm just happy that we kind of stopped the bleeding, you know, and got the win so that we can kind of get our mojo back a little bit. Because as you know, like, everybody has some self-doubt at some point of on any team you've ever been on. So I think, it was good to get the win.
It's high, game high, plus 25, plus or minus. And when you came back in the second half, that's when you guys were able to extend the lead for good. What have you seen from him in your first year with the program that has allowed him to be so effective, even though he never stands out in the box?
Yeah. You know, I think Trey is doing what his role has always been. He's never quite been the star. I don't even think in his Indiana State game days he was the star of or the go-to guy on his team. But he's playing well off of our guards. So he's taking the bits and pieces that he gets, and he's being efficient. He's being effective. And tonight his stat line wasn't great, but I thought what he brought to the game was a physical presence. If you look at the stat sheet, I thought we were pretty dominant in the paint, and it started with him on those initial touches, and he just continued throughout the game to pretty much make the right plays this evening.
Yeah, even just to add to that, he wasn't even like at prep school. He was just a good, solid player. So the thing he did tonight is he chased Johnson around. And then when we took him out, Johnson hurt us. Right? And then he got on a little roll, and now he got his hands full because the guy's feeling good about himself. So he did his job tonight. And we've been browbeating him, you know, because we feel like he's better than he's played. And I just told him today, I said, look, Trey, you're a great kid. He's an unbelievable person. Right? I said, you're a great kid. Just go out and have fun and quit listening to us all the time. Just have fun and just, quit worrying about every damn play. And I thought he did a better job of that tonight. I mean, it's big, it's anytime you can beat a solid team, it's good for you. I wish we could get more people in the building. We just haven't been able to, you know. We caught them at a time when they needed a home game, so we 2-for-1'd it. We were going to go twice there, but it was worth it because we don't have to go for another year either, so that's even better. So we need to get more games. Like, we're there's more teams in our league that are getting home and home games than we are, I guess.
I mean, it's been a constant, ongoing conversation with him about how important his defense means to the team and how good a defender he truly is. And, he knows it. Sometimes he wants to, venture more to the offensive side of the game, but he's a really all-around good player, like he could play both ends, right? And tonight he stayed away from gambling as much and decided to just keep the guy in front, even though in some of those drives he didn't reach in. Now we still seen a couple reach ins because he's, he's good at it, but he stayed out of foul trouble. He made the guy finish through him and over top of him, and I thought that was something different that we hadn't seen from him this season so far.
So his game's still developing. So he's one of these guys. He's an unbelievable kid to coach too. He's really coachable, but he's one of these guys that his whole career everybody said he couldn't shoot. So he's worked really hard on his shooting, right? So now he wants to fling it all the time, right? Which I understand. Like he wants to show people he's a complete player. But what he's really good at is getting to the basket, right? And he's really good when he wants to just guard people. And so the problem with that is sometimes he's shooting too many jump shots and not driving it enough, and then he's tired so he doesn't guard as much as he should. This is the most he's ever played other than in the junior college. At VCU, he was another one of those VCU guys, right? But now he's becoming more of a complete. He's a handful. Like, look, he's flying around Power 5 guys. Like, right? Right? Like, they couldn't keep him in front. Then he got a little tired. He couldn't go as much. But he's a high-level athlete, and he works at the game hard. So he wants to show people that he can do everything, which sometimes gets him, like the one shot he took, I almost, you know which one I'm talking about, right? That one long one, I was ready to, oh, yeah. I think he sees Day do it sometimes. He says, okay, I can do that too. Anything else?
Just looking at your overall history with Duquesne, you haven't brought in too many DJ transfers. In this field, you have two who historically been having key roles. Was it something that made you sort of venture towards that, where you was looking for any route possible to get talent?
It's funny that you asked that. So when I was at Ashland College, that's all I recruited. I didn't recruit any high school kids because we needed like transfers and junior college guys to compete at the highest level of Division II basketball. Because the good high school kids were going to, so we took a lot of guys that didn't graduate from junior college because they couldn't go to Division I if they don't graduate. So when we weren't very good last year, remember I told you Charles and Rick were out, Terry were out a lot, and so we went to Utah and we recruited Matoush, another big kid, and Quincy, and then we went to the National Junior College Tournament. We saw Trey, and we hit it off immediately with Trey and his family, because I don't know, me and him kind of just clicked. So there's a lot of good junior college players out there. There really are. Like you saw New Mexico State, they're loaded with them. Those guys are good players. Now there's a reason they're in junior college. Like, some of them have bad grades, some of them are a little checkered past. So you got to do your homework. But Trey Clark's been an unbelievable person. Q's been good. I mean, it's a good spot for us. Now, the problem with it is you only get them we get Q for 3 years. So that's a pretty good deal. You could ask me as you want. I have nobody at home tonight. My wife's not here. Not me. Listen, this is way past my bedtime right now.
Even through the two losses, from the three-point line defensively, the other team did shoot as well, and that's been a positive progression for you guys. Indiana State comes in ranking the top 10 in three-point attempts per inmate. How comfortable do you feel compared to the beginning of the year, where you guys were near last? And then, just overall as a program, how comfortable are you coming into this game knowing that that's going to be a strength that they're going to look to attack?
Well, first off, I haven't watched one clip on Indiana State, for the record, because I go one game at a time. And sometimes I'll catch a game on TV, but I haven't caught them. Like, I'll watch a lot of A-10 games usually. So I'll argue a little bit on what that number means. And you and I have talked about this before. Like, I looked at the A-10 stats before the game, and the number of threes we're giving up is not as, like it's at least middle of the pack or above. It's just we're giving up a lot of bad numbers. But the number actually is good. We're not giving up a lot of them. Now tonight they got a bunch in the second half, right? They had 3 the first half, they got 5 the second half, right? But I think overall if we can bring that number down, the number we're giving up will really help. We'll become a really good defensive team if we can do that. You know, because they're not getting a lot of them, but they're shooting a high percentage of them. Does that make sense? Good. Appreciate y'all coming.